general out
Oh,
in the middle
yes,
of
that's
nowhere?
what I was doing. I actually had a pistol in my hand at the time. I was really ticked off. When I was having this fit, I was waving the gun in the air, okay, and I had this fit. And at this moment, I said, okay.
He was a Louisiana man named Montaldo. Folks around called him Six Gun Joe. Worked with ICAR, don't you know? Investigating UFOs. Out for a drive with a gal one night, they stopped to check out the reporting site. When an alien lit right there on the ground, he commenced to throwing his weight around. Now, old Six Gun didn't take too kindly to that kind of thing, especially without Vaseline or anything like that, Seriously. Well, Six Gun looked that critter right in the eye and said, "Any last wish before you die?" Yo, reached for his gun, quick as a twitch, and said, "Fill your claw, you son of a bitch." Now a legend spread across the land about this pistol-waving man. But if you're from space or from Earth below, you don't give no lip to Six Gun Joe.
Tune in to UFO Undercover, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network.
All right, I'm going live.
Welcome to UFO Undercover, with your host, Joe Montaldo.
Hey, everyone. That was a little weird there. I see the camera flash back before the actual music finished or the intro finished. It's kind of strange. How's everyone doing tonight? I hope everyone's having a great evening, great morning, great afternoon, wherever you are on our beautiful blue planet. It's so I hope everyone really is enjoying their life out there and just having sunshine days. And I'm sorry, somebody coming and bugging me. No, but anyway, I hope everyone's having a great evening. You know, I love this show because it does go out to every country on the planet now officially. Last time we checked, apparently I don't keep up with how many countries there are because I thought there was 190. So I'm counting the other day like a dumbass. Da, 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 da. I come up with 209. I was like, what? So I got to go back and look. Officially, there is 209 countries, provinces, and whatever else, which was news to me, by the way, people, because I thought it was 190. So I had to go back and check on the internet and get on there and check all kind of dumb stuff. And so it's all together. Like I was telling a friend of mine the other day, we're in North Korea. We had 5 listeners in North Korea. We have 8 now. Okay. God don't know who's listening to us. Lazarus, maybe you'll get some books sold. I have no idea who's listening to us because really, people, in case y'all didn't know, 90% of North Korea does not have internet, period. Shit, half of them don't have power. So it's got to be somebody way up. I mean, to have internet access into the United States or into China, because, they can access us through, I think we're in 12 or 14 cities in China now, all the big ones, plus some small ones. They might be accessing us that way, but still, it's got to be someone up in the world that actually, somebody up in the world that has some money, some power. Maybe it's Kim Jong and his sister. I have no idea who it is, man, but it's somebody. And it's weird because the other day we were talking. We have 275 Venezuelans. Well, I know who some of them are because I have a cousin down there who's a governor of a province down there. So fortunately for him, he's in one of the good provinces where they're not starving to death. He's been really lucky. Not so lucky for the rest of the country, but it's just weird. Cuba, we have 16,000 people listening. I have no idea what they're listening to us on, and they could be listening to us terrestrial radio. But I have no idea. So anytime I see these countries, it weirds me out. as I go through the things, because about every 6 or 7 months I go through just to see what shows I got on what countries and how well they're doing and stuff like that. And, like Canada, of course, we had a lot of listeners in Canada. Of course, we have 9 hosts from Canada, so we should have a lot of listeners from Canada. Australia, we have a lot of listeners. All of Europe, we have a lot of listeners. It's interesting to watch. What was weird is, so Russia was number one country for the last, before the war started, they were number one for about 18 months. It was Russia, China, then the United States, which was weird. So Russia and Ukraine get into it. Russia drops down. I think they're 14th now on our list. Israel for the last 18 days has been first. Really? How many people actually live in Israel? I mean, I'm confused, man. Anyway, we'll get on to that later on, guys. But if you live in Israel, I'm not picking on you. I know Toronto, we have a lot of listeners there, over 36,000 just in the city alone. But really, for y'all to rank number one over China and the United States, I don't know what y'all doing over there, but keep it up. I don't even know what to think about that. I mean, it's only been for the last 16 days, but still, usually Israel's like 21st or 25th or 28th. They're never even close to first. I even called one of the tracking companies to make sure it wasn't an error. They're like, no, it's legit. I'm like, oh, I said, if all of our other numbers come down that much, I don't know what to think. But anyway, tonight's guest is Lazarus Black. I met Lazarus, and at this past year's Writers of the Future Awards. Writers and Illustrators of the Future is what I always leave out to poor illustrators. Shame on me, because his boss lady is an excellent illustrator. Her and I had a great conversation about we'll just say fun artwork and leave it at that. If y'all want to know what I'm talking about, you'll have to go watch. Actually, she was supposed to do 2 hours with me, but John and Emily Goodwin kind of jumped in on top of her. That didn't sound right. But anyway, John and Emily showed up that night and we did an hour. So, but Lazarus we had a great conversation when we were there. We did about an hour and a half while we were there, and then we talked since then. And now he's back. And first off, what are you up to, man? Before you even do a proper introduction, what are you up to?
Oh, hell, it's convention season.
Right.
So I've been traveling all over. I was at San Diego Comic-Con a couple weeks ago.
How was that?
Actually, it was really good. It was our best San Diego Comic-Con, ever. So we're really happy.
I like that idea. I wanted to come out to that one bad too, and I was like, my wife's like, I will hurt you. I was like, okay, I'm not going. Look, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Well, it treats. I tell everyone that who's interested in going to San Diego Comic-Con that you have to treat it like Disney. It's one of those, there are people who save up for years to travel, and when you get there, there's too much to do. You're not going to do everything you want. It's going to be extremely hectic. It's going to be extremely crowded, and you just have to kind of set yourself up mindset-wise to do that. Now, we exhibit, we don't attend. So this year, there were a lot fewer attendees. We're still climbing out of the pandemic.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the convention was built for like 100,000 people. That's where it usually gets. This year, I had the feeling it was more like 60, 70,000 people. And
That's still
that crowd worked better because people could actually walk through the entire convention floor and then come back. Usually there's so many people, you're crushed through, you're walking through the convention center, you see some booth, it's going to take you 4 days to find your way back. It's just so big. So this year, a lot of people were able to find what they wanted to see and then return frequently. And there's a lot less stress on the people that I saw. So I know it's going to get back up to over 100,000 people next year or so, but we really enjoyed, and I know a lot of people really enjoyed it having a smaller crowd.
Sorry about that. My damn mic muted itself. I know they were toting one of the largest. It was the largest Comic-Con around. So I know I'm a
in the
Dragon
United
might be
States
this year. Yeah, oh yeah, I know what you're saying. Everything's bigger overseas, guys. Somebody told me the other day, a friend of mine was, the NFL's games get more viewers than anybody in the world. I said, dude, don't go there. Just don't. I said, you ever heard of soccer, football in Europe? I said, dude, there's no game, not even the Super Bowl, that can come even close. I said, honestly, dude, I think you could take the last 10 Super Bowls and you might get the last audience for the playoffs. I said, that's insane how many people watch.
the Super Bowl does get billions of people that they're to watch. That's up there in the rankings.
Yeah,
But
well,
you're
yeah.
absolutely right. On a day, just a regular average game,
Oh
that
no, it's
you're
not even
talking about
close.
entire nation.
Yeah, no,
Um,
they were comparing the this year's Super Bowl to last year's soccer matches, and I think it was 7-1. That's how bad they beat the Super Bowl. It's
yeah. Well,
just
it
well
was
for
the
some, you
World
know what it
Cup, right?
is. You know what it is. Football's really popular in the United States, and it's popular in some other countries, but not like their football is. Soccer is popular all over the world. Even in this country, soccer is popular, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's popular. It's a big sport in Europe. It's a big sport in the Middle East. It's just a sport that's played all around the world, whereas football really isn't. It's I guess because football is more contact. I don't know what it
Well,
is.
it's
I enjoy
also
both, so I don't want to hate.
well, I enjoy both, but the Super Bowl is a little different. It's specifically more of a media event
Oh, it is.
than a sports thing. So people around the world will watch the Super Bowl even if they don't watch any other football game because of the halftime show and the glitz and the glam and the commercials. Of
Yeah.
course, it's still big.
Yeah, I got a couple of my friends that work for the NFL just recently. I was like, look, guys, what is this 11% downward for the last 6 years? What's going on? And they're like, well, the Super Bowl has been going down for actually 10 years, but the game itself has been going down anywhere from 11 to 15% for the last 5 years. I'm like 6 years. I'm like, so I knew there was a couple of things that I want to get into because they're political, but I know a couple of things that did hurt them. But I would figure by now we'd have bounced back from that. What it is, you know what it is? We don't have them crazy, exciting people. They'll get some though. Somebody will pop in and stand up and get. Because I missed a game, and to me the game's different today than it was when I was a kid watching it. It's like an entirely different football game.
Yeah, you
It's
don't have Tony Mandarich and Brian Bosworth
well,
and
I'm
all
honestly,
those, out of their gourd
I know.
media
Yes,
quality.
you Z Jennings cannot handle old football. Y'all, you think you're woke now? Oh my gosh. Anyway, it was a little rougher back then. It was less pads and stuff like that. But a friend of mine's been bitching because he calls NFL flag football now. And I'm like, well, no, it's not flag. I mean, it's got some issues with some of the penalties it calls, but I wouldn't call it flag football. As a guy gets slid down on his face into the goal line, yeah, that's not quite flag, but I enjoy it. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. But I always enjoy watching. But guys and girls, if you want to get out there are a couple of big sports out there that pull really well. And I'll tell you, if you ever go on YouTube and go to look to see what the number one thing is, you'll never guess what it is. Just all I can tell you is to go look. And Americans don't get offended when we're not on the top of the list of everything. All right. I don't want y'all to get upset by it because unfortunately there's another world out there with, 7.2 billion people over us. So sometimes they look at different things than we do. So, but anyway, Lazarus is actually doing some writing. His boss lady is outstanding. Echo's an outstanding artist. I mean, I've seen a lot of her work now. It's beautiful. She's got gifted. So how do you live with her, man? Her ego's got to be like this big. I was giving a hell
No,
about it the last time we were in LA. She's
no,
such a sweetie pie. Really, she
she's
is.
absolutely amazing. I mean, we met at art school, so that's so we've been together from the beginning,
Oh,
and
you like me.
so we nurtured each other's career, me on the studio side and her on the freelance side, and we supported each other through it. I have my
That's the way to do it.
skills that have I've had a quite decent career, and then I saw her genius, and she saw something in me, and that kept going. And then right around 2005, 2006, she started playing around with her own stuff, and she exploded. And I'm really, 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 really super
So,
proud. I even gave up my career so I could just focus entirely on promoting her because she's that special.
that was she is. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I agree. I think her artwork is fabulous. She's got an outstanding command of color. But anyway, Echo, if you're listening, we're not here to talk about you now, even though I love you, baby. I do. I mean, I truly, she is one of my, I didn't know who she was 3 years ago, okay, or 4 years ago. And
Yeah.
then I got to meet her 2 years ago, and she's she's just got an outstanding personality. She puts it out there for the world, which I always appreciate people who do that. She seems like a damn good teacher because the first year I didn't get to sit and listen to the courses. The second year I did. The first year I did. I actually got to hang out with the illustrators. For some reason, last year I was with the authors more than the illustrators. But She gave me an appreciation for art I didn't have before. And then, of course, they introduced me to Tom and to, what's his name? I always forget his name,
Larry
Spanish guy.
Cirillo.
Anyway, yeah. And I
Cirillo.
mean, they just, I mean, they're all just fabulous in different ways, but I truly enjoyed it all. It's
Well,
one
it's
thing to be a good artist, but still to be an extrovert instead of an introvert is interesting in itself. I
Well,
mean,
it's
she's
funny that the two times you were there were the two times that I was not actually leading all the instruction for the illustrators. That's actually been my job for the last several years. And
you see,
then
I missed out there because I want to learn stuff. I mean, I can't. In all fairness, let me cut you off. But in all fairness, I draw stickmen, and they're funky. Okay, they're not even
I
as
love it that
stickmen go.
people.
They're not even good.
I love it when people say I can't even draw a straight line. I'm like, neither can artists. That's why we invented rulers.
I agree. I agree. But I did. I got to say, I learned something from all when I listened. I sat with Tom's Echoes and his and Santos's and actually I learned a little bit from each one of them. One, I had no idea actually how to do any kind of shadow work, which I was stunned by. So I learned a lot there. And then so this year I got to hang out with y'all, all the authors, and it was different. And so in this, just by the way, ladies and gentlemen, before I hack everybody off. So while I was in LA, everybody's been on me about writing a book for like 35 years now. And while I was in LA, because of, I guess, hanging out with the authors, I was inspired. Matter of fact, somebody said, "What are you channeling L?" I wrote 12,000 words while I was there in 3 nights. So, but since I've been home, I've written a big fat. So we're gonna have to figure out how to work that out. I
Not a
can't
surprise.
just, I don't know. Yeah, maybe y'all have a trick for it or something, way to block out all the stuff that goes on behind you and things like that. But for
Oh,
me, it seems to be a nightmare. It's so. I
yeah,
mean, so wait.
it
So
is
did she?
difficult.
Well, go ahead. Okay, I'm sorry.
No,
Did
just
did she talk you
motivation.
into submitting to Writers of the Future?
So yeah, I started writing when I was really young, and my parents actually expected me to be a writer, but I couldn't get
Okay.
anyone to read what I wrote. Even my parents, they were always too busy. I was an '80s latchkey kid, right? So my parents
Yeah.
working until 7, 8, 9 every night, and over time I started doing other things, playing around with the computer, drawing, and I noticed that people would respond right away and praise right away when they saw some picture that they liked. So I ended up going to art school instead, and then to advertising. And the entire time, I would play like role playing games with my friends and with my wife, and I would keep my storytelling going, and I would keep my, learning the craft of pacing and plotting and characters, and always wanted to, get into writing. My friends were always telling me how they wished I was the one writing scripts for things. And finally, a couple years ago, that Echo just kicked me in the butt and said, I'm not doing advertising anymore. I'm not really doing art anymore. It's to take a crack at writing. And I started submitting to the Writers of the Future competition because it's anonymous.
It is anonymous.
And even as a judge of the Illustrators of the Future competition, um, no one knew that I was submitting except for Joni, who has to see the names, but she
Yeah, because Johnny,
deletes
yeah,
right the thing. Yeah, she manages the database. But even then, I got permission in advance, just in case. We don't want to have any concept, anyone
yeah,
accusing
yeah. Anybody
contest
saying
of
it was rigged
problems.
or anything.
Right.
Um,
And it was
what?
funny. Galaxy Press just kind of went, yeah, yeah, go ahead. We'll worry about it if it happens.
Yeah,
No one
and I
actually
mean,
expected anything to
and see
happen.
now it's different because they have press there. Now that I'm there, they can't really. Because matter of fact, it was funny. Somebody a couple of weeks ago asked me, "Oh, I hear it's funky business. What do you think?" I said, "Really? Do you?" And I said, "Well, tell me what funky business is going on. I want to hear it." And so they're going on and on about funky business. I said, "Really?" I said, I've attended last 3 years, right?" And their face just went. I said, "No, really." I said, "I was invited by Galaxy Press to come down as press to make sure everything that they had told me, John Goodwin and his wife Emily had told me, was on the up and up." And
Mhm.
I said, "After 3 years, so far, everything is on the up and up." I said, "I see how it works. I see how it's judged. I understand how the blind judging working. And I said, there is, and I didn't. I was honest. I said, there is one person that knows who it is. I said, but she has. I didn't mention her name, by the way, but I just said she has to know. And I said, then everybody gets a number. I said, but now let me be honest with you people.
And it's
Not
happened by the computer.
yeah. And I said, not everybody gets submitted to the judges now. I said, let's not get crazy. I said, and I said, as a matter of fact, I was giving some books away to a school, to John and something. I said, if you want to even have a chance, I said, I know some of the people who are proofing. I said, you better grab them within the first 2 pages. I said, I'm not maybe. I said, I don't want to. I said, I don't want you to screw your book up. But I said, I'm just being honest with you. There's a lot of material being submitted. And I said, since we came on board with them, there's a lot more people from overseas submitting now. I said, so there's a lot of competition. I said, and know this: if you do win, you are a great artist and a great writer, and could be an excellent one in the future. I said, and one of the other reasons I'm here is I said, I want to know who all y'all are when y'all writing sci-fi in the future and fantasy. I said, oh, I know that guy. I'm calling him up. It's, I got faith. I mean, I really do. I really think I've read 4 volumes of the anthologies now, and there's a lot of really good stories in them. I like 38 a lot for some reason this year. I'm not exactly sure why I did. I had a different appreciation for it, or maybe it's because I'm more involved now, but I really enjoyed it. But I enjoyed the last one, and I went back and I grabbed one. I think it was 3rd or 4th one. I haven't read it yet, but I got it up to read, so I'm gonna read it this weekend. And when I say that, y'all know, I'm like, when I was young, I used to read all the time, but I said now I don't have much time. But look, people, first off, a lot of this you can get on audiobooks, just so you know. But they're short stories, so you don't have to read the whole book at the whole time. You can read a story, read it 2, 3. Usually, like when I was in LA, I would read 3 or 4 stories, and I'd stop, put the book down, go do something else, come back, read 3 or 4 stories, put it down, go back. By the way, there's lots of really good artwork in the book, and you get to meet the illustrators. I gotta say, I do like the what do you call it? The reveal, is that what it's called when y'all?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the reveal.
There's a lot of emotion there.
Fun.
Yeah, there's a lot of emotion there. And guys and girls, you don't know what we're talking about. There's I've got clips up. John's got clips up. You can go see for yourself.
So what happens is, well, I want to say this is an amateur competition in the same way the Heisman Trophy is an amateur competition.
Yeah, I understand.
All right. You have thousands of people competing, and everyone's putting their best foot forward, and it's every 3 months. It's 3 months worth of work that you put up and you put forward, and it's no guarantee of professional success. I mean, not every Heisman winner actually does anything.
That's true.
But it's a really good indicator that it's a great pat on the back. I won first place in my quarter, and there are 3 winners every single quarter. So that at the end of the year, there are 12 winners. And what happens is we're all brought to this. Every year we're brought to the award ceremony, but leading up to the award ceremony is a week-long lecture series given by the captains of the industry.
Yes, Hell Week.
Yeah,
it's what I call it. Hell Week,
it's
man.
Version of Hell Week.
It's a fun Hell Week, though.
But it's fun.
Yeah, it's a fun Hell Week. I don't want to give you a bad idea what it is.
And all the 12 stories that are selected are handed off to the 12 winning illustrators, and story is matched with an artist, and the illustrator does a picture of the story. Now, for me, it was a little different because I'm also an artist, but most of the writers, they don't know any artists, let alone have done any art themselves. And for the very first time to see a visual painted representation of their story brings them to tears. And they do this in a grand ceremony, presenting private ceremony, well, private meaning it's just the artists, the writers, and press. And they reveal the artwork to the writers, and they just get so emotional. It's funny how many bonds have been made between writers and illustrators. The tears shed, the art being passed around. And for my story, I had like I said, I already know art, so I had an idea of what it should be, but I didn't know what the artist they were going to give it to. They gave my story to a 17-year-old kid, one of the youngest winners ever.
Yep.
And I have to say, I hated him. Just because as a 17-year-old kid, he was so freaking good. I mean, yes, I went to a really good art school, but I was not as good as he was. And he did a phenomenal job on my story. And it was, but looking at it, and he knew who I was, and that I'm a judge, and I just had to, like, pick him up and hold him in front of the world, like, hey, look at this young kid, and look what he's done just at age 17.
I know.
Imagine what he's going
Fabulous
to
too.
do.
It's amazing. And by the way, I'm glad Lazarus brought that up, because the first year I went, it was 16 to 71. That was the winning range. So
Yeah.
you're not too young and you're not too old. Now, a couple of people I met were in their 30s and 40s. I got to say, a lot of the writers I met were in their late 30s or early 40s. Some even a little higher. I said, so it's kind of strange to me. Maybe it takes that long to get the brain right or something. It's not that you can't win younger. And oh, by the way, you can submit 4 times a year.
Yeah.
Okay?
Every 3 months you can submit. The main reason that artists, the illustrator winners, skew younger than the writer winners is that the illustrator winners really need formal training. It's really, really, really hard to know everything you need to know to just teach yourself. It's virtually impossible. That's why it's so rare to have someone in their 16 and 17. And if they do, they're probably at a dedicated high school for art.
Yeah.
So almost every single winner of the illustrator competition is in art school, out of art school, or has been struggling with a graphic design degree, trying to transfer to move into illustration. Writers, on the other hand, if they go and they get their degree in something to do with writing, that few of them are submitting to this competition. Most of them are moving into writing careers. The people who enter this competition in the writing side are usually people who have had a full-blown career or in the middle of a career that's not related to writing, and this is their way of expressing it. Like me, I've had 3 careers before taking up writing. I'm 50 years old. And
you're just a youngster.
You're
just a babe in the woods yet, man. Come on, you got 50 years at least.
But there's a lot of, there's even the younger writers that win. The younger writers that win are usually really, really dedicated to trying to become editors. And so that's where their focus is, and they would love to write, but they're editing in the meantime. But the vast majority of people who are entering the competition are not professional writers. They're not dedicated. They have other jobs that they've been discouraged early in life. Like, no, you're not allowed to be a writer. You have to be a doctor, or you have to be an engineer, or you have to get some, silly job.
Quite a lot of y'all had other than writing careers.
Right.
And strange, some of them were far flung from being anything to doing with writing as well. So I found that interesting. I mean, I know one of the big winners, she was a policewoman. I was kind of like, threw me off, you know. I was like, really? Well, I mean, I understand anybody can write, but can you write good is what it really comes down to. No, well, y'all think I never wrote a book? People look, don't even go there. Y'all want something there, or I have 4,000 hours of available research and available archives. So have fun. You can take it and make a book out of it. You can make several books out of it. It's just not going to be me unless I can talk one of these I meet in next time I'm in. Next time I'm in LA, I might talk one of these youngins into writing for me. It's it's funny because we have 3 outlined books sitting here. Been sitting here for about 10, 12 years. Actually, longer than that, about 15 years. It just never seems to come to fruition. I guess it's weird.
Writing has. I like to think of the writing as having 3 separate major components. And one is, the idea that what is going to happen, what it's supposed to mean. Then you have the structure that involves, the characters and what they're doing and how and why they do what they do and how things evolve through the story. And then you have the actual words on the page, the writing, quote unquote, itself, the prose. which words go in front of which, in what order, and why would you use them, and would you write this sentence before writing that sentence. And lots of people in the world have ideas, um, and that's something you can't exactly quote unquote learn. Writing, putting the words on a page, prose you can learn, the structure you can learn, but going back to ideas, you need experience to give you firm ideas. I mean, you can come up with, little things, but how those will actually how those actually interact with characters is a very unique concept. For example, I've had so many different experiences in boardrooms around the country, as well as on the streets. I've met CEOs, I've met presidents, I've met gang members, I was a pool hustler for a couple years. I've done, I've been in advertising. I've met politicians. I've traveled all over the country and all over Canada. I've been to so many different wilderness experiences and camping and hunting and fishing, but I've also I've been in music and the arts and media and entertainment. I can draw on all of those different things into my stories, and I can come up with an idea. It's like a piece of technology, and what does that technology do? Well, okay, the technology is neat, but how it affects each of those different industries becomes the story.
Mm.
And when someone is young, they don't have those experiences. They have to imagine them, or they have to take them from what other people have written. And it doesn't make what they've done less valuable. It just makes it different. And I think a lot of the reasons why some of the writer winners are older is because when they were younger, they didn't know what to write. And as they gained experience, they started coming up with their stories and then applying it.
Well, life gives you experience. Life will give you things to write about. There's no doubt about that.
Mm-hmm.
And you can turn any crazy story, anything, into sci-fi or fantasy. So, Bruce, no, they write. No, there's more than. I know I'm saying sci-fi and fantasy, but there's more, quite a few more genres than that you can submit to writers of the future for. That's just two of my favorites. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. You have to be careful. They do submit the book to try and sell in middle grade schools across the country. So while they accept horror, it can't be like splatterpunk or anything. They want it to be mild, eerie, creepy things.
Think of this way, people. PG-16, that'll keep you out of trouble. Maybe PG-16. You could probably squeeze PG-17 in because some of the stuff I read was close, but
Now 12. Now think of 6th grade.
Yeah, PG-12. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, PG-12. There you go. Because really and truly, when you read these books, they're clean. The stories are interesting. They're fascinating. They're fast. Some of them are fast moving. Some are not. But there's no real gore in it. There's no heavy sex in it. There's no
sex at all.
They have managed to do these books in a clean fashion. I'm not talking about like in a clean Christian fashion. I'm just talking about in a clean fashion. It's good storytelling without cursing or sex or drugs or alcohol, any of that really. And you enjoy reading a book. We have forgotten as Americans sometimes that storytelling used to be that way. They used to sell stories over radio all the time. And you can find old time radio today and listen if you want to. So,
but old time radio wasn't necessarily clean. You ever listen to the
Well,
Shadow?
That's true. That's
the
true.
Shadow was nowhere near.
We're talking about FCC standards today, but if it's going over the airways, it's got to be X amount clean. But still, there's just a lot of stuff that you can do that doesn't need. One of the rules on our network's always been you're not allowed to curse, and not to say I haven't slipped once or twice in 25 years of radio, but. Usually no. The matter of fact, the only time I've ever cursed in radio is when I'm doing politics because it just me off like that. So I can't, being a centralist makes it hard because I get to hate on both sides, which gets me in trouble nonstop. All my liberal friends are like, Joe. All my conservative friends are like, Joe. I'm like, What? I'm in the middle, guys. Get over it. I said, I want what I want. I said, I don't care what y'all want. It's kind of funny to me. Oh, by the way, guys and girls, we do have 250 books we've been starting to give away, courtesy of Writers of the Future and galaxypress.com. They just came in the other day. They were actually earmarked for Dragon Con, but I think they had too many, so I got the overflow. And you know what I'm going to do with them? I'm giving them away. All the shows and network will be giving books away from now through January 1st. Last year we gave away 1,500. We will probably, our goal this year is to give away 2,000 books between September 1st and January 1st. So if you want to donate books, feel free. You can write me at icarcox.net. You mean illustration? We do give illustration away, but usually it has to be really good or it has to be from someone who's known. I don't mean they have to be famous, like on television famous, but they have to be like known. See, like the boss man's wife here, she's known. She's an excellent artist. If you look her up, you're going to see she got great work, stuff like that. Yeah. But if you submit that kind of work, even if you bought it, I still need you to contact or give me the contact information because we don't put people's work up without their permission because we're giving it away for free and we don't want to upset an author or illustrator or anything like that. So we make sure everybody knows what's being given. And most people who send it to us themselves, so there's not that issue. But sometimes I get stuff sent in from, listeners and I just want to make sure it's on the up and up. People, we live in the woke world now. So people get upset when you get their stuff without asking them about it. So be sure you just check with whoever, if it's writers, you're not going to have to worry about so much, but illustrators you do. They're kind of picky about giving their work away on the internet, and I don't.
Well, the biggest problem with the internet, with the artists on the internet, is there are companies now that are literally stealing images off the website and starting to make T-shirts out of them.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
There's a big thing that there was a couple printers that they had little bots that would go out and they would go on Instagram and they would look for any image where someone would type, I would like to see this on a T-shirt. And it would instantly download that and put it on their website as we will make a T-shirt out of it. 100% illegal, even internationally, but they were doing it and then they were still advertising it. They still sell them on Amazon and Etsy and they have to be shut down. And, these poor artists are working their asses off.
Yeah, they are.
To get trying to get any kind of publicity.
And I know some of them are starving artist people. So, don't rip off somebody. And, I know somebody the other day, why, Joe, these people are probably millionaires. You don't know that. Okay. You do not know that. I mean, some of them may be, but a lot of them are not. I'm sorry. Go ahead,
we were at a convention about 10 years ago and it was a little convention and there was some tattoo artists in another part of the convention. And a guy walked up to this teenage girl who was selling prints of her art at $10 a piece. He pulled out his phone, leaned over one of her art, said, I love this piece, took a picture of it, and then said, I'm going to bring this over. I'm going to get a tattoo of it made by that guy over there.
Something. I mean,
and she's like, well, could you buy the $10 print? He's like, no. And a bunch of the artists in the area started railing on him because we knew he was going to pay at least $200, $200 for that tattoo. But he wouldn't give the artist who created the image that he loved to put on his body forever. He wouldn't even give her $10.
That's just cheesy. People like that are just cheesy. And you do see that kind of shit all the time. I mean, it's just part of it. As a matter of fact, when anytime I have any of the illustrators on, because like with Echo and Tom and Larry and a couple others, these are big artists that have really nice artwork. And I was very clear about it. I said, you can look at this all you want. It's on all these pages. I said, do not replicate it. It is illegal. You do not have the artist's permission or the radio network's permission. I said, you'll have both of us suing you. I said, so just don't do it. And most people respect it, but still there's always somebody out there that thinks they can bend the rules. We have a site at Cafe Press where we keep a lot of our different banners and stuff like that. So people want T-shirts or thongs or whatever they have. Right now, the thong is still the number one selling thing we got. Don't even ask why. I have no idea why. There's 1,100 items to pick from, and that's what sells. And then the next thing that sells the best is these weird pins we got. They just have a picture of an alien on it. They go like hotcakes. But everything else, T-shirts and stuff like that, it varies what's on it. But they can pick whatever they want. They can pick whatever item they want. I mean, they have like 5,000 different items over there. But I just don't like them. because they're kind of expensive at Cafe People. I'm just saying. It ain't made.
And
We don't
we
make
we
hardly
used
no
to have
money
a
off of.
Cafe Press site, and it just didn't do enough for us at the time.
Yeah,
Now,
because they're too expensive is what they are. They want like $25 for a T-shirt that you're going to make $5 on, and it's going to be your artwork on their T-shirt. Basically, I'm kind of like that irritates me. So now if I want T-shirts, I'll just order them like 100 at a time and from one of the local companies, and they end up
hmm,
costing like $6 a T-shirt or something. So
yeah, we're doing licensing right now. Echo's got some products. Her art is going on products going out there.
mm.
She has her own line of makeup now.
Oh, does she now? Oh, I'll have to get her on. So we're gonna talk about that. Oh wait, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna invite her on. I'm gonna bring the girls on with me. Yeah, we're gonna have a three-way. Well, because no, Bruce, what do I know about makeup? Really? Did you look like any makeup on his face? No. I do look good for 60, man, but still, it takes work. So, like, and, a good friend of mine a couple weeks ago he said, man, your beard always looks so good. He said, you don't even get no gray hair. I said, no. I said, I ain't got none on my head. That's true. I said, but, half my hair's gone anyway, so it don't matter. I said, but this? I said, no, dude, this is dye. I said, if there's no dye in it, this bitch is white. Let's not even try to pretend. And he said, well, I don't understand. He said, oh, so why do you do that? I said, because I'm on TV. And when I do real TV and not the radio shows, they make me dye it. And I said I do at least a gig every couple of months, so it's just the way it goes. The first time was funny because it was about 12 years ago. I was doing a gig for Ancient Aliens, and on Discovery, and the girl says, because it was really salty and peppery back then. She goes, "Oh no, we can't have that." I'm like, "Why?" She said, "Here, let me show you." On the camera, it looks like somebody just smeared white baby poop across my face, so I had to go. She said, "You got two options: you can shave it off, or we can dye it." I said, dye it. I said, guys don't dye their hair. She said, yes, they do, Joe. She goes, I'm like, God, not like 15 years younger. What the hell happened here? Said, yes, people, unfortunately, they have their rules and they expect it. It's funny when you do a TV gig like that because, we got our backgrounds behind us and stuff. They will fiddle with the background for an hour. Just like 5 items and they got to move them around. I'm like, whatever, people. I don't care. I'm getting paid for this. Take as long as you want.
Yeah, I've done that.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
done
always
that
fun.
photo
It's always fun.
shoots.
So you're going to be in LA this year, huh? Or you're going to
You
be?
mean
You're
for
going to?
which?
I mean, for Writers of the Future.
Oh
You're
yeah,
coming.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
going back. I'm going to be doing the classes again.
yeah. So I'll probably see you this year then. It's
So
if I can
I'm going to be
behave myself.
I'm going to be at Dragon Con in a
Yeah.
couple weeks.
So we're going. Yes, I'll see you up there, and then my wife and I, we're going up to Fan X in Utah, and
I'm thinking about trying to get into that. I know it's late, but with the connection to the Writers of the Future, we might be able to.
yeah, that's what I was
swing.
thinking. Yeah.
Usually, Fan Expo is at the exact same weekend as Dragon Con, so I don't even think about it.
Yeah, which
But
was
this
dumb.
year
It's a
it's
good thing
not.
they need to keep them apart. I mean, come on, don't be
Yeah.
competing. That's just you're splitting up people. Christopher, you go have to go to DragCon. Say, what do you mean? Yeah, 1 or 2 days I'll be there, just as me paying regular fee like everybody else. In a couple of days I'll be there as press. I won't be paying anything, but I won't be inside of any of the events. I'll only be working the floors at the different hotels and different places it's set up and stuff like that. It's an
Yeah,
advantage of
Dragon
being
Con
press.
is a unique. It takes place in about 9, I want to say 7 to 9 hotels across the city of Atlanta and downtown
Yes,
Atlanta. It
it's
also takes up a convention center, but that's just for the retail area.
yeah.
Most people, it's
People,
all
they're going
the
to be
parties
I
and
know
things.
Jody says she's going to have a booth there or a table this year there. She told me
Yep,
last time I talked to her. So I'm
yep, they
looking
always
forward to
do.
seeing that. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing them as well. She did really well too. People just love, I don't know. We got into like instruction mode, right? Because we got to talking about writing and people, I mean, all of a sudden there's like 5 million questions coming through. Shut up, phone. And she got into like instruction mode. They loved it. I was like, Lord have mercy, people. They all of a sudden the whole board just lit up with questions nonstop. I was like, oh, okay. Chris, I'll let you get a couple questions in because we're getting ready to roll. I see I got a few of them coming in on my messenger.
Okay.
No, we ran late, so we're going to run over a little bit. Yeah, I only got in for an hour tonight because we got something else going. But I'm heading back in a couple weeks. In a couple months. I like talking with Lazarus. He's a lot of fun, and he's got a lot of information for y'all. And don't be scared to ask hard questions. They're not going to be hard to him. They may be hard for y'all. Is what I meant. But anyway,
as
Who's
I
up
told my
first?
as I told my students that you know I can answer absolutely any question that you ask as long as you accept that I don't know is a perfectly valid answer to any question.
Oh shit! So the first question that comes in, this is from Mary Lynn. Mary Lynn is an author who is married to an illustrator for now 18 years, and she says, "How in the
Nice.
hell do you put up with an illustrator?" That's like she's like, "I want to." She said, "I have a big ego. Don't get me wrong." She said, I have a big ego." She said, and my ego could fit inside of my husband's 4 times." I was like, I don't know what
It's
to tell
really
you. That's good.
so. First of all, we met at art school, so we both have a artist mentality,
See, there
and
you
we
go. That
understand
helps.
and we help each other. Another thing, I think that leads into something that's very important. At Dragon Con, I'm going to be not leading. I'm going to be on a panel discussing how to manage the mental health of artists through the creative process and through a career. And this leads into that beautifully. There's a um, every artist is different. Every writer is different. Every creative is different. There are a lot of memes going around trying to suggest that everyone who's creative is either a tortured soul or an egomaniac, and it's not true. That, but you have to manage yourself and understand who you are and how that all fits.
Mm.
That uh, someone with a large ego, there may not be a lot to manage, and that's fine. Someone who feels like they have what's called imposter syndrome might need to get some help. Uh, it's normal to have doubts about how well you are doing and how well you might succeed. That happens everywhere, with every single career in the world. Um, but imposter syndrome is misunderstood. Imposter syndrome is specifically when someone has actually achieved great things and a long career and still says they're going to take it away from me once they find out that I'm not actually really good. That's a level of anxiety that is abnormal, and it's something that people should take care with. Maybe even see a doctor about to make sure. Because I've known plenty of artists that doubt. I don't think I've known one that hasn't. Actually, that's not true. I've known like three that never doubted. Um, and I've known artists that have this imposter syndrome, and all of those are now in 2022 finally on anxiety medication. Um, but there's a lot of misinformation spread where people think that anxiety is what makes them creative, and that's not true. That they think that if you don't have. I saw one meme someone shared that only good art. You're only a good artist if you have imposter syndrome, and that's absolutely not true. Um, and if I had a message that I can just share right now is understand who you are, figure out who you are, and if you really are rejecting the success that you have, if someone buys something from you and you go, oh, well, they were just pitying me, that's one thing. But if you have had a several year long career and you've been consistently producing and people consistently supporting you, and you literally have that words going through your head that say they're going to take it away from me, uh, seriously seek out some help, seek some therapy, seek out some doctors, just to make sure. If they clear you of all those things, that's fantastic, but don't go undiagnosed, because you know your life will be much better if you can get help, and it's going to improve your career. It's not going to reduce
What?
it.
And see, guys, and now y'all can actually come check out at Dragon Con and listen to the panel if you can get in. Look, a lot of these panels you can't even get into, people. Mark, I have friends. I can get in a lot of places y'all can't, but still. It's yeah. Over the years, I've made some friends. Well, I got friends in a lot of different areas. I got politician friends. I got governor friends. I got friends in lots of different industries.
Yeah.
So I've been, I've had an interesting life, and in the last 4 or 5 years, well, actually, in the last decade, I've made quite a few inroads in with illustrators and authors. I mean, we've always done a lot of authors on the network because a lot of our shows just only do authors; they don't do anything else. We have 5 or 6 shows that work through publishing houses that they do authors for the publishing houses. But we used to like let a host do one publishing house, and then I said no. I said we're not getting paid for this, so we're not just going to advertise for one publishing house. I said so if y'all want to do it, that's fine, but you have to do multiple publishing houses. And I said as long as you do that, I'm good with it. And I said if you want to do independence, I'm fine with that as well. I said but we're not going to advertise for one. I said we have too good of a reach these days to be doing that for shits and giggles. So Martz, what kind of hellish name is that? Martz. Did you like forget how to write your name or something? Oh, it's a Facebook account. Okay, well, what does it mean?
Could be
Is is
Mart S.
is is,
Martin
is it
S.
is it like from Europe or somewhere? Is it an overseas name? A South American name? Anyway, what's your question? What's the single best piece of advice that you could give to an up and starting author? He says he's got 2 short stories out. One is about He said it's about 50 pages and the other one's about 100. He said by saying that, though, he said the first one is about 9,000 words. He said the second one's about 26,000. He said, but he seems to just be struggling every word all the way through nonstop. And he just can't seem to get a grasp on getting it started right.
Single piece of advice.
That's a tough
Don't
one. Yeah.
don't stop writing.
There you go.
Don't stop trying. Okay. To narrow it down to your specific situation, short stories are around 5,000 words, give or take. It's 7,000 words is the cap of almost every short story publication. It's extremely rare for anyone to want something more than 7,000. Writers of the Future will take up to 17,000 words.
Yeah.
However, this is volume 38, the one I'm in, was like the first time they ever had multiple stories over 14,000 words. They're usually between 3,000 to 6,000 words.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Then you have this interesting discussion that happens in the writing community. Are you a plotter or are you a pantser? These are considered 2 different kinds of writing styles, and I disagree with them as being as actually being separate. Someone who calls themselves a pantser is someone who loves to sit down and write and see where the story leads them and just experience it like a reader and write it all down. And when they're done, they'll hit the end and they won't go back into it. That's generally called exploratory writing, I'm told. And it is an exercise, and it is fun, and it is something that every single writer does to a degree. However, it's almost impossible to sell a story like that. Then you have the plotters, the people that will come up with an idea for a story, and they'll write an outline of it, and then they'll sit back and then write the outline. And even the people who do plotting that way generally all agree that in between their plot points, their outlines, they explore. They'll say the scene will begin here with this character thinking one thing, and the scene ends with them discovering something different. But they don't necessarily know how that happens until they sit down and write it. When they sit down and they'll explore the story on how that works until they reach specifically that end. And they'll use that end as their goal. Even then, sometimes the goals shift. To be a short story writer, you cannot do exclusively exploratory writing. Yes, I know that's a platitude, and I'm not experienced enough to say that to say that definitively. But honest, I've read enough, I've talked to enough, I've listened to the lectures given by legends in the industry. In order to keep a story within 3 to 6,000 words, you have to know the beginning and the end before you even start, and that there are plot techniques that you can learn, like the 7 point plot, that will teach you how to think in those lines. So when you sit down and write, you can craft it from beginning to end, to fit within that limit. After you've written it, you then have to edit it.
It's a good one.
That's where most people, they'll disengage from this website. They'll hang up on me. Nobody wants to edit that. They don't. Once they write a story, they don't want to go back to it. But it needs fixing.
It does.
It's not just about fixing typos. It can be about, maybe the tension's wrong. Maybe that one thing happens before something else, and it felt right when you wrote it, but when you read it the second time through, or when someone else reads it, they weren't feeling the same way.
Yeah, I know all the good authors I've talked to always go back and read it. Yeah. Shit, most of them will read it a couple times and give it a couple of their friends to read.
Well, yeah, that's a trick. There are writers who espouse a type of writing they call cyclical writing. Dean Leslie Smith is one of those. But he's also been writing for 50 years, and he's been practicing this for 40 of those years. He'll write 2 pages, then go back, rewrite those 2 pages, then continue for another 2 pages, then go back to rewrite those 2 pages. So he's constantly cycling and rewriting.
That must mean he's got most of the story in his. He must have most of the story in his head, though.
Well, he has his own publishing company, so he doesn't have to. So he doesn't have to deal with an editor. He doesn't have to deal with somebody that says, "No, I don't like this. I want to change it." He publishes it when he's done, and he moves on to the next one. He writes dozens of books every single year. I think he's got written over 700 books.
Yeah, he reminds me of Nick. I mean, not Nick Pook. What's his name? Nick Redfern. I was talking to him. He sits there. He writes a book a week. Yeah, that's what he does.
But at the same time, Dean specifically says, "I don't write doom." He said, "I don't write something that's special. My stories are just adventure stories." So depending on what type of writer you are and what you want to produce, the way you write is going to have to be different. I write a lot more like blanking. The Canadian author, wonderful, wonderful man, and I'm completely blanking on his name. He's written like 8 novels, and he's won hundreds of awards with them, and he's been writing for as long as Dean. I'm much more like that. At my end of my career, I'm probably going to have a total of maybe 5, 6, 7 novels.
And I would think that's the majority of y'all, to be honest with you. I mean, unless you're like a story writer for a TV show or something like that, but that's different. That's a different kind of writing. But most authors I meet only have, 5 to a dozen books, and some have been writing a long time. And I mean, I do like when you were talking about Dean. I met Dean. Dean just can write. I mean, he's just got like something in his head that just Nick's the same way. I asked him one time, "How do you write?" He said, "I write 9 to 5." He said, "It's a job for me." He said, "I get up in the morning, sit down in my chair, close everybody out, and go to writing." And
which is a great gig if he can do it.
And he can do it. I was giving him shit one time about it. Yeah, I lost count of how many books he had because he's always coming on a network on somebody's show with a new book. Because he writes all kind of weird stuff like cryptids and things like that, and people just eat them up. And I was like, I wish I could do that. I can't lock myself. Like I said, the only time I've been a writer is when I was in LA last year. And for some reason, that was after midnight. I was just sitting there, watching TV because I never go to sleep. So I'm like, I just took the laptop out and started writing. And once it started, I just didn't stop. I was like, shh. Like, damn, this is easier than I thought it was. Which it's not, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to take anything away from artists because I cannot write. It was just that particular. I was just in the height with all the rest of the people who were there because I had sat in with four classes with the authors. And I learned a lot from Tim and Jody, and it's Tim Powers we're talking. Tim Powers, I'm sorry. And I forgot Jody's last name for some reason right out of my head just now.
Jody
But
Lynn Nye.
yeah, Jody Lynn Nye. I learned a lot. I'm not going to lie. And I'm not a think about it, guys. I'm not even really attempted to write and how much I learned from there. So just think about somebody who actually knows what the hell they're doing, who goes to these classes. I call it Hell Week, and he was laughing because it's not so much that you're torturing, you're just busy. It's busy. Like when they got to write the 24-hour story. I love that, by the way. I've done 3 years of that. I love that. I think that is just great.
It's really funny. I've been there for several years, and this is the first time I've participated in it because I was a judge.
Because what you're doing,
years. But it's funny. I've seen the days when in other years where the students are up. Not students. The writers are up, until 3, 4 in the morning, and they're crushing, and they're crying, and they're stressing, and they're writing. And then the morning comes, and they're still at breakfast, and they're writing, and they're stressing about getting it done in 24 hours. And then this year, with my group, I don't think there was a single person who wasn't done early.
I know, because Tim had asked me to go around and get pictures of y'all when y'all was sitting downstairs writing. Like I snuck up on Jeff. He's over there. And when I came back and talked to him later on, he said, "No, I'm pretty much done." I ran into Chris. No, I'm pretty much done. I'm like, "Really?" So I'm because they were all in the lobby, and I didn't let them see me when I was taking pictures of them because that was the gig, and you could see there's an intense on everybody's face. I mean, no, and guys, if y'all see some of these pictures, we posted some. Not all of them are up yet, but some of them are. When you see these people, because it's all different ages, it's not like they're in pain or anything. You'll notice most of them have a pad or a laptop in front of them or on their lap, and they're writing. I did see one or two actually writing old school with paper and pen, or pen and pencil, or pencil and paper. Sorry, I don't know where we get at it, which kind of freaked me out a little bit because but some people like that tactile sensation, I guess. But it's interesting to watch them, and really. I ran into a group of them just before they threw us out of the lobby because the lobby closes. And yes, people in California don't stay up real late. I don't know what the hell that's about. But anyway,
what was that? What was that?
I don't know what that is. But anyway, they throw you out at 11 or 12 out of the lobby. And they all went to different places. Some went back to the bar by the pool. Some went up to their room. Some went out and sat around wherever they could find a place to sit. And then we're just writing. But most of them looked like they were through. I know I ran into a group of them in an elevator and I was harassing them. And they're like, "No, we're just going up to proofread." They were all sharing. I guess they were done, so we're all going to swap stories and read them. And I was like, "Well, that's cool." I mean, that's just cool.
Happened to be the right combination of personalities.
I think so.
And
I hate to say this, but this group looked a little bit more. They seem to communicate more, or a little better, I guess I should say. It's not. It's how can I say this? So judging from the other 2 years. So when I look at this one. Really, I felt like the writers talked more to each other. Last year, they were kind of all off in their own little groups, and the groups didn't really communicate all that much. Again, they bumped into each other, said hi, because people got roommates while they're there. But this year, it seemed to be a little different. Maybe
there were a couple people who knew each other before.
Yes, that's true.
There's a bunch of writing groups online where people meet and and coordinate and support each other and proofread for each other. And there were a couple people that were knew each other through that, but at the same time, you're right. There was that in the past. There was usually maybe 1 or 2 wise asses in the group. This year, out of 12, there were like 7 of us.
That's true.
I mean, really.
Oh shit, it was pretty bad.
I mean, it's like we were trying to outdo each other a lot. Even during dress rehearsal on stage, we were kind of needling each other over what we were going to say on stage in the microphone, and we're all trying to.
Yep.
Who's going to be there and just start singing opera? And we're like, all right.
I remember who was it? It was the year before last. Somebody said we were having a party after the gala, and somebody had asked me, they were going to ask their wife to marry him on stage. I said, Emily would have hurt you. Oh, I lost him. Poor. Well, that was Lazarus, guys. He got bumped. It was time to go anyway. We had to cut him off because we were getting ready to start part 2 of this, the second hour. But that was Lazarus Black. One of the, he's a really nice guy. We've talked to him a few. There he is. We got him back. There he goes. He got probed. Aliens took him for a minute. The alien. That's just an alien probing you, man. You see UFO Undercover,
okay.
you never know what's going to happen.
But anyway, yeah. So it was a lot of fun, and it'll be interesting to see what happens next year.
So, guys, before I let Lazarus go, first off, if you want to meet him, you got to win. Okay, that's all I can say. If you want to know what any of the we're talking about, you got to win.
It looks like my signal's breaking up again. So
yes, I'm gonna let you get out of here in a second. No. Yeah, you up there in the sky, way up there in the highlands, anyway. So, Lazarus, thanks for coming on, man. I hope to talk to you soon because it looks like we're gonna lose you. Guys and girls, I'll get y'all his website information and y'all can go hang out and check out what he's written. I know he's got his Amazon Arthur's page, so y'all can go over there and look as well. You still got me? All right. Okay. Yes. No, guys, it was just bad connection. That's all. It happens sometimes. Sometimes we just have these kind of connection issues. You got to remember. I mean, he's where's he at? In Seattle or he's either in Washington or Portland. I think he's in Washington actually. So you know what's going on there. But anyway, we're going to get out of here and we're going to be back in about 5 minutes to come back with part 2 of this. So I want everyone to stay tuned for part 2. We're going to talk about why in the hell do the aliens even come to this planet? Anyway, I'll see y'all in a few minions. A few minions.
Of you.